Your Gen X parent says they can retire next year. They want. You're 32, watching them work at 62. And something feels wrong. Your inheritance just disappeared on paper. Nobody told you this was coming, but the math has been breaking since 2008. That guilt you feel, it's real. That pressure to help them financially, that's real too. And the reason you're not getting the down payment gift your parents got from their parents? That's the story. But the actual numbers tell you something worse than just delayed retirements. They tell you the entire wealth transfer mechanism broke down, and you're standing in the rubble. Hi, this is Mark. Here's what everyone gets wrong about Gen X parents delaying retirement. They frame it as a personal choice. Oh, they love their job, or they want to stay active. Reality is harsher. It's not a choice. It's a collapse. They're managing without naming it. The median Gen X household has $98,000 saved for retirement. The actual number they need at 60 is somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. That's not a shortfall. That's a gap so large it requires doing basic math to understand you're broke. 1/3 of Gen X is still working past 65. That number's climbing. Now here's the psychological detail most people miss. Gen X did everything right. They're not the irresponsible generation. They're the ones who bought homes at 28, when that was still possible. They maxed their 401 CREX. They had the talk with their kids about student loans being bad. And somehow, despite doing it right, they ended up here, trapped. 2 recessions took the wealth-building years they needed most. The 21 tech bubble crushed them when they were young, and supposed to be compounding. The 28 financial crisis hit them at 35-45, exactly when compound growth was supposed to accelerate. Those lost years don't come back. You can recover 7 years of market returns with aggressive saving in your 50s. But the recession part is only 1/3 of the picture. Healthcare costs are the silent wealth killer. A 65-year-old couple retiring today will spend $315,000 on healthcare. Medicare covers hospital days, and some care it doesn't cover the stuff that actually bankrupts people. Long-term care, cognitive decline care. The years where you need someone in your home 8 hours a day. That's $60,000 to $100,000 per year. And it's entirely on them. Notice how quickly the numbers move when you add healthcare. The nest egg doesn't just shrink. It evaporates. Then there's the responsibility layer. Nobody plans for Gen X isn't just saving for their own retirements. Many are financially supporting aging boomer parents who lived longer than expected or had their own financial failures. Simultaneously, they're helping adult children with college costs, first apartment deposits, or just general financial instability. That's not a safety net, that's a financial vice with your generation in the middle. Wages haven't moved. Adjusted for inflation, Gen X salaries have barely shifted in 20 years. Your parent making $85,000 in 24 needs to make roughly $120,000 today just to maintain purchasing power. Most didn't get there. Their costs tripled. Housing, healthcare, insurance. Their income flatlined. Here's what happens when your Gen X parent can't retire: the wealth transfer. Doesn't happen. That's not poetic language. That's arithmetic. Your boomer grandparent left your Gen X parent an inheritance, which funded education down payments or security. That Gen X parent was supposed to pass something to you. Instead, they're asking if you can help with their mortgage while they're still working. You're 28, you should be building wealth. Instead, you're worried about your 58-year-old mother's retirement fund. That's not responsibility. That's intergenerational trauma, masquerading as family obligation. The guilt tax is real, and it compounds faster than money in the market. You feel responsible for someone else's financial failure that wasn't your fault. So you give them $200 a month, or you don't, and you feel guilty for years. The inheritance that was supposed to come at age 50, now it's coming at 65, heavily taxed, significantly reduced. That's not intergenerational wealth. That's generational interruption. Boomers had pensions, real ones. Pensions that replaced 70% of their pre-retirement income for life. Gen X's pensions started disappearing in the 1990s. By the 2000s, the 401k system, which was never meant to be a primary retirement vehicle, became the default. The 401k system assumed: 1. You contribute consistently for 40 years. 2. The market averages 8% returns annually. 3. You die within 20 years of stopping work. 4. Healthcare is handled separately and affordably. 5. You don't need help from your kids. Gen X broke every assumption except contributing. The market didn't average 8% in the 2000 decade. They got 0% returns. Many needed market help from their kids, not the other way around. Healthcare ate the assumption, and they're not dying within 20 years of retirement because they're still working. The housing trap is the final mechanism. Gen X sees their home as the retirement plan. The logic goes ill: downsize, sell the house, pay off the mortgage, and live on the proceeds. The problem is multi-layered. Yes, homes are worth more. That same parent's house in suburban Ohio is now worth $380,000. But the starter home they could have downzoned to 10 years ago is now $310,000. The math doesn't work. It's not that the housing strategy is stupid. It's that it was designed for a housing market from 1995, not 2026. Let me reset and be direct about what this means for you specifically. If you're Millennial or Gen Z, you need to hear this without the soft framing. Your Gen X parent probably won't be able to help you the way their parents helped them. That down payment gift? It's not happening. That college cosigner for your kid? Already financially fractured, that safety net where you can lose your job and move home temporarily without stress? That exists in someone else's family. This isn't punishment. It's not your parent being irresponsible. It's 3 recessions: pension collapse, healthcare inflation, housing price divergence, and wage stagnation, all hitting the same generation simultaneously. It's a systemic failure, and they're absorbing it. But here's where most people stop and just feel sad. Here's where we don't stop. You can change what happened to Gen X, but you can change what happens to you. That requires specific, unsexy, unglamorous financial work. You need an emergency fund of 6 to 12 months of expenses, not eventually. Now, before you invest in anything, before you buy anything, before you help anyone, that emergency fund is your actual safety net, because you won't have a family one. Then you need aggressive debt elimination. If you have student loans, not minimum payments, not extended repayment plans that stretch until you're 45, actual painful accelerated repayment. Every month of delay costs you more than you think, because you're not just paying interest on the debt, you're paying opportunity cost on the money that could have been invested. Start maxing tax advantage retirement accounts early. Not at age 35, not when you get the company match. Early means as soon as you possibly can. This is the compound growth your Gen X parent missed. You're not missing it. Build a real down payment savings plan that doesn't assume family help. This means less spending somewhere else, less restaurants, less travel, less whatever you're currently allocating money toward. That isn't building wealth. This is genuinely painful because everyone around you is spending freely while you're saving. That's the point. You're building something. They're not. You also need to have the actual conversation with your Gen X parent, not around it, not hinting direct. What's your actual retirement plan? When do you want to stop working? What would help? These conversations create discomfort. That discomfort is where honesty lives. You might find out they need financial help from you, and you need to know that now, not when a health crisis forces the conversation. You might find out they're planning to work until 80, which means you need to adjust your own expectations about family time. You might find out they have a real plan, and they're fine, but you won't know unless you ask. Here's where the system-level exposure collapses. Any remaining narrative about this being normal. Gen X is the transition generation. They lost the pension system but got pushed into the 401k system right as it was being hollowed out. They got no special support for the recessions that hit them hardest. They're not old enough for the boomer safety nets, and they're too damaged by recessions to catch up. Pensions don't exist anymore. Social Security is a political third rail. Everyone's afraid to touch. Healthcare is a cost disease that accelerates faster than inflation. Wages are competitive, bend downward, but benefits are negotiated away. They're trapped in the system's exact breaking point. The paradox is simple. You can earn $85,000 a year, do everything right, and still be financially trapped at retirement. The illusion isn't that Gen X is lazy or irresponsible. The illusion is that personal financial discipline can overcome structural economic failures. That parent worked hard, saved diligently, and got crushed by timing policy and cost inflation. Individual responsibility has limits when the system itself is rigged. Who actually makes it out of this? Dual-income households where both parents worked consistently and neither had career gaps. People with family wealth that cushioned the recession impacts people who bought homes in low-cost states before the housing price explosion. People who worked in high-demand sectors with wage growth. People who had boomer parents with enough pension money to gift them down payments. Those variables stacked together, you get a comfortable retirement. Gen X without most of those variables, you get delayed retirement and guilt. Most Gen X doesn't have those variables aligned. Now zoom out completely. The reason this matters isn't nostalgia or sadness about what Gen X lost. It matters because you're watching the mechanism in real time. You see which policies worked, which failed, and which are still breaking. You have the advantage of seeing the system's failure mode before it happens to you. Use that information. If you're Gen X, you don't get a surprise. You don't get a windfall. You get to make a choice. Calculate your actual number. Not what you hope, what you actually need month to month. Then make a real decision. Work longer, downsize, cut expenses, relocate to a lower-cost area. Take the reverse mortgage, but understand the terms, or all of the above. Tell your kids the truth. Not to burden them, but so they can make their own financial plans without false assumptions. If you're Millennial or Gen Z, build wealth, like your parents couldn't. Not to prove something, to break the cycle, max retirement accounts early. Understand that you'll probably work longer than you expect. So plan for that reality. Build your own inheritance instead of waiting for one that won't come. When you do have resources, think about intentional wealth transfer planning, actual trusts, education funds for your own kids, mentorship for the generation after you. The generation that breaks a wealth cycle becomes the generation that rebuilds it.